Hello everyone. Today I'm going to do a professional development with you about assistive and instructional technology in the classroom. First, let me introduce myself. I am your presenter. My name is Tyler Rassis, and I have been a special education teacher for the last 17 years. Currently, I work in a moderate severe classroom with middle and high school students. Most of them are way below grade level, so we do use a lot of assistive technology to access our environments, as well as instructional technology in the classroom. Let's talk about our agenda. First, we're going to talk about our objectives and what we would like to learn over this professional development. Next, we'll talk about what is AT and IT. We hear those abbreviations thrown around quite a bit. AT does stand for assistive technology and IT for instructional technology, but what exactly do they mean? We're going to talk about the do's and don'ts of AT and IT. What exactly are the benefits of them in the classroom, and what are challenges that we might come across? AT and the IEP. It almost sounds like a rap song. AT, assistive technology in the IEP, is something that we may not even think of when we are working with it on a daily basis. However, it does have to be present in the IEP in order to use the assistive technology with your students. We'll also talk about examples of assistive technology. There's high-tech, mid-tech, and low-tech. I think most of us immediately assume all assistive technology must be digital, so it must be high-tech, and that is the furthest thing from the truth. There are many low-tech things that we use, pencil grips and dry erase boards and calendars, schedules, pictures, whatnot. But then, of course, we have those mid-tech and high-tech things like a motorized wheelchair or a hearing device or something like that. So we'll talk more about those and what classification they fall under. Then, of course, we know a lot about AT at this point, so we've got to learn about IT. So instructional technology in the classroom. What exactly is it and how do we use it? And finally, we'll wrap that up with some instructional technology examples. And hey, how can we make our classroom more fun in that respect? Okay, our lesson objectives. By the end of this PowerPoint, more or less, by the end of this presentation, I would love you guys to be able to tell me, what is assistive technology exactly? Okay, like I said, they are interchanged a lot. They are confused, assistive and instructional. So what exactly is assistive technology and how can I utilize it with my special education students? Okay. Of course, you know about assistive technology, so you need to know about instructional technology. I want you to be able to tell me what that is. Okay, and how can I use instructional technology in my classroom? And finally, I want to know examples of both. I want you to be able to come out of here with activities that you can implement, websites that you may have not known before that you can use with your kids. And hopefully you can tell me the benefits and challenges of both assistive and instructional technology. And if there is a challenge, how can we make it a benefit? Maybe we can turn that upside down. So let's go on and jump into this. What exactly is assistive technology? Okay, assistive technology is used for our friends in the special education classroom or maybe in the general education classroom. However, it is meeting the needs of kids with special needs. Okay, we want to make them, let them be accessible at a level of their non-disabled peers. Okay, so say they have an issue with communication. Well, my kid is nonverbal, but he still needs to be able to express himself, okay? So let's give him a device to express himself. Let's give him picture symbols to express himself, okay? Maybe my kid is not strong in math. Well, let's give him those manipulatives or that calculator to help them, okay? There are so many different assistive technologies, but it's all about access. We want to access those tasks that they could not do without that assistive technology or that general education curriculum. But it is for people with disabilities that could not do something otherwise, okay? Now, it can be hardware or software, so don't immediately think, okay, if it's not a piece of equipment that I can pick up, that it is not assistive technology. That could not be further from the truth, okay? It can be a form of software in a computer, in an iPad, in a tablet, or it could be as simple as a piece of paper that you're using as a picture symbol or as a reminder for something, okay? Let me get back here. Sorry about that. What is instructional technology? Okay, assistive technology we know are for our peers with special needs. Instructional technology, however, is for all students. Okay, instructional technology is used to engage. We want to make learning fun, right? As teachers, isn't that what you want to do? You don't want your kids to want to fall asleep on you, right? That would be the worst thing. So let's make education fun. And let's add those digital concepts in that instructional technology. And again, just like assistive technology, I did say digital concepts, but it does not have to be that. It can be as simple as a mini dry erase board that they flip up and answer questions with you, so it does not need to be digital, but it does need to be interactive. So it is something that is going to help with the process of learning. Okay, that does not mean if I use a smart board to teach a lesson, that's instructional technology. No, it needs to be interactive with a student. So if a student gets up and uses that board while I'm teaching, that is instructional technology, okay? Just like assistive technology, it can be hardware or software. And we can use it for things like remote learning. We were all crazy during COVID, right? We were like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? We're not in brick and mortar schools anymore. So how are we going to learn? How are we going to teach these kids? Well, with instructional technology and things like Zoom and things like Google Classroom, we were able to act like we were in the classroom working with our kids. So there's so many different methods like that. And to help engage our kids. So instead of giving them just that pencil paper and saying, please write a paper on this, that gets a little bit tiresome, right? Let's give them a PowerPoint and say, hey, I want you, instead of to write this paper, I want you to find the pictures and find the information and present it and make it look cool and add sounds and fun animations and then present it to the classroom. Wouldn't you, as a student, rather make that and listen to that? I'd much rather than have students drone on and on about a paper or have to create or write a 5-page paper than to than to make a PowerPoint. So think about what you'd rather do. Okay, enough of me talking. I know I'm long-winded. Let's play a little game. Which one? Okay, I've told you a little bit about assistive technology and a little bit about instructional technology. So let's see how much you remember about those definitions. Okay, we know assistive technology is for those kids that need access to that general education environment or help getting to those tasks that they wouldn't be able to perform otherwise. And we know instructional technology is used to engage and get deeper in that educational process, right? Okay, I am going to actually use instructional technology with you guys right now. Instead of getting up in front of you just like I am right now and giving you an example and saying, which one is which, AT or IT, and you guys raising your hands and saying AT, IT. Okay, yeah, that can be fun in one way. But let's make it a little bit more interesting and put it in a digital way. So we're going to use a program, a software actually, called Kahoot. And you may have used it already in your classroom. If you have, that's wonderful. And if you haven't, you definitely should explore it because it's so much fun for kids. They can access it on a laptop if you have them in your classroom, or if you allow cell phones in the classroom, that's also a very easy way that they can access it. It is a website. You put in questions and they're able to answer it. They gain points if they get it right, but also the fun thing is they get to see all of their classmates' answers. So if it was a survey, they'll see which is the most popular answer, and if it's a quiz, they'll see who answered who gave which answer was most popular. So that's exactly what I'm going to do with you guys. Below you will see a link to the Kahoot quiz. and you're going to click on it on your phones or on your laptops, and we'll see how much you remember from what we were just talking about. All right, I hope y'all had fun with that little game. Now, back to me. Do's and don'ts of assistive technology. There are do's and don'ts to everything in this world, and assistive technology is definitely one of them. Okay. Number one do to assistive technology. Train everyone who will be working with the student on how to use it. Okay. We are obviously in a world of teacher shortages, and we have a lot of substitutes coming in. Well, let's put it in this idea. We have a student that uses an augmentative device. Maybe it's an iPad, maybe it's a static device, whatever it is, but they use it to communicate because they're nonverbal, okay? If you were a substitute and you walked into that classroom and you were assigned this student to work with, and you have no idea how to use their program, whether it be Proloquo, Touch Chat, or something completely different, you're going to be upset because you can't communicate that with that child, and that child is going to be incredibly frustrated because, hey, I want to be able to communicate. I want to be able to request things or tell you my needs or my wants, my frustrations, and I can't because you don't know how to use my device. Okay? So regardless of if it's a sub or a new teacher or a new paraprofessional, if it's a parent, whoever is working with that child that uses assistive technology needs to be trained on that device. Even if it's a quick overview just to get you through the day, training needs to happen. Okay? A don't. Be specific in device or program with assistive technology on the IEP. Please don't do this. Please do not put on your iPad that your student uses, please do not put on the IEP that your student uses an iPad. Okay? They can use some kind of speech generating device. Okay? It does not have to be an iPad. And a lot of times when it's specific in the IEP, then that district needs to pay for that specific device. And some districts have issues with that. So if you just say it is a speech recognition system, it is a communication device, it is assistive technology in the communication world, that is enough. Do not go into brand name. Please do not go into brand name. Okay, let's go back to a do. Use the present levels and goals when deciding on assistive technology. Just like we do, we write a present level about how our students are currently doing, and then we list the goals that go along with it. I want you to still go in that order. Once you have those present levels and those goals written, then decide on the assistive technology to get that student to master those goals. Okay? Don't assume all students need the same assistive technology. Okay? I have 4 students with autism in my classroom. Does that mean all 4 students need the exact same assistive technology? No way. Some of my students with autism are mental math calculators. They can look at numbers and they know exactly what's there. Where another student with autism may need counting bears or manipulatives or cubes to count to 10. Okay? So we do not need to assume that every student with the same disability must have the same assistive technology, because that could be further from the truth. And finally, a do. Use the least restrictive intervention first. Just like we're taught as special educators, a least restrictive environment is where your student needs to be. Same goes for interventions of assistive technology. We don't want to put the newest, craziest device out there that does everything for that student if that student doesn't need that. Let's not make that student more disabled or more helpless by giving them something that does everything for them. Okay? All we're doing is trying to meet the needs of working to the level that they need to. So let's use that least restrictive intervention first. And if they need something that's more technologically savvy or whatever, then we upgrade. Okay? Just like we have do's and don'ts of assistive technology, of course we have do's and don'ts of instructional technology. Okay? Do use instructional technology as a tool for collaborative learning. Okay? We are in the world of 21st century teaching. And not just teaching, the world that we live in is all about groups and working together. Okay, so why not use the instructional technology that we have in our classroom as group and collaborative learning? Give those students the option and the opportunity of working together and using those tools together. Okay, don't underestimate your students. Let them explore. Guys, kids today are born with a cell phone in their hand. They already know how to run a computer before they're the age of 3. So don't underestimate them and think that they know nothing just because they're young. That is so far from the truth. Let them explore, okay? They probably know a whole lot, and you know what? They may be able to teach you a thing or two. Another do. Set expectations and enforce consequences when using IT with students, okay? Obviously, the web is a dangerous place. You can get yourself into trouble if you don't have expectations set. So make sure your students know what is expected of them in certain projects and with certain devices and where to go and what not to do. And with those expectations come consequences. If they do something that they're not supposed to do, make sure they know that there is going to be something that happens because of it. Don't use too many online tools. Simplicity is better. There are so many different tools that we can use. Devices, software, just little things on computers. If we introduce all, then we tend to overwhelm. Not only our students, but ourselves. That's how we get confused. So let's just, basics. You can build on basics. You give too much, it confuses, and then you want to shut down. So simplicity is better in that way. Finally, another do use video platforms when presenting, as it helps with communication. For me, a visual is always a good thing. So when presenting and speaking, it's always nice to have that visual. So use those screencasts with your kids. Use those PowerPoints, those Prezis, those Animotos, anything that is a video platform that helps kids with their communication to a group. AT and the IEP. It just sounds fun to me. Assistive technology in the IEP. We can't forget this. The IEP is what we live and breathe by as special education teachers. Okay, so we need to know that there are specifics when it comes to writing assistive technology in the IEP. Number one, it must be written in the IEP. Otherwise, it shouldn't be able to be used. Okay, especially when it comes to standardized testing. If you have that, an alternate assessment, you must have that documented. Or if your kid goes out for general education classes and they use assistive technology, make sure it's documented under accommodations, because if it's not, a teacher may not let them use it. So after writing IEP goals, decide if assistive technology is needed to meet those goals. And if so, it must go on the IEP. So again, like I said earlier, present levels, goals, then decide where the assistive technology needs to be to meet those goals. Okay? Any items used, low tech to high tech, must go in the IEP. And every IEP, every county does different things. In my county, we call it special factors. And with the goal, we'll click special factors, we'll click assistive technology, and be specific in the assistive technology that we're using on that kid to meet that goal. But it must be documented. In the meeting minutes, it should be documented that assistive technology was considered and the decision made by the team. It may not be a very, like I said, a communication device for a nonverbal student. It could be as simple as a manipulative or something that you may not think that you use on a daily basis. But hey, when we come to one struggling part of a math or a reading assignment, we can pull it out. Okay, so make sure you do talk about it in your IEP meetings. And finally, I've said it before, do not name specific brands. Examples, iPads or Google Read and Write in the IEP, because not all counties use the same thing. You can say a general technology that's used, an AAC device, a speech recognition software, without giving a brand name, because there are so many things out there that the kid can meet that goal using assistive technology. But hey, maybe that kid doesn't use an iPad. Maybe they use something else and Proloquo is loaded on that other device, right? Or maybe they use a simple static display. And it's not a certain Dynavox or something like that. So. Kinds of assistive technology. I've kind of interwoven this already, but we will talk about this more. There are 3 kinds of assistive technology. We've got low tech, mid tech, and high tech. Low tech is something like pencil grips, picture symbols. So your kid is very loud and they need a reminder about volume control. Okay. Using a picture symbol about volume control is an assistive technology. Isn't that incredible? A lot of times that we are using assistive technology on a daily basis and we don't even realize we are. Calendar schedules. A lot of people use picture schedules with their kids. That is a low-tech form of assistive technology. Calculators, digital clocks, highlighter tape. The list goes on, okay? Mid-tech. Maybe your kid is not ambulatory and they use a manual wheelchair. That is a mid-tech device. Adaptive keyboard. They need something a little larger to see the keys than the small little keys that they have. That's a form of assistive technology. A touchscreen window because they don't know how to use a mouse. A Big Mac device is used. It's just a one button, and maybe it's used to say, I want more, and they push that if they want more snack or something like that, or I need help, and they push that to say, I need help. Okay. That is a mid-tech range because it's not in that crazy computer format, as well as a static AAC device, 2 to 8 choices, whatever they have, and you would have to change out the display instead of going further into different categories. High tech would be like an AAC device on, example, like I said, an iPad. So maybe it is a Pro Loquo app or a touch chat, and it goes deeper into different categories. Maybe it's a speech recognition software or speech to text. Hey, they have issues typing and they can talk. Let them talk and let the software type for them. An FM system. I have a student in my class that is at about a 60% hearing loss in one of his ears. So we use an FM system with him where I put on a headset and he does too. And when I talk, he can hear it a little bit louder in his ears. Okay. Something as simple as digital cameras and scanners we use in our classroom. And of course, if you have that non-ambulatory kid that uses an electric wheelchair, that's obviously more high tech because it's using an electric component. Okay, let's have a little discussion. I've told you a lot about assistive technology, and I've told you some about instructional technology. Let's break off into teams of 3 or 4, and using your classroom, or maybe even a classroom that you have been able to observe as your guide, I want you to tell me what you think are some benefits and pros of technology in general. Again, it could be assistive, it could be instructional, and I also want you to tell me the challenges and cons of technology. And hey, even better, if you can flip those challenges into benefits or pros. It may not be easy, but work with your team to brainstorm different ways to figure it out. As you're brainstorming, I want you to list on the pages provided of benefits, pros, and challenges, cons, and come together and share them as a group afterwards. Moving on, we've pretty much covered everything that we need to with assistive technology, but now let's move further into instructional technology in the classroom. Okay, what we need to remember about instructional technology is it is used to engage our students and enhance their education, okay? It's so much more fun for a student, and even me as a teacher, when I'm going to professional developments, if I'm getting the people involved in the presentation involved in technology than just telling them to write things, right? So let's talk about using instructional technology in the classroom. Okay, it takes many forms. It can be whiteboards or online courses, and it's grown. So when I was a kid, I remember my teacher using a device that enlarged a piece of paper. It was an overhead projector. They're not used as much anymore, but it was still a form of instructional technology because she was able to use those fun little overhead pens and write on different transparent cards. And even we were allowed to get up there and use it sometimes. And it just made it more fun, right? Okay. So instructional technology can take those forms. as simple as that. It could be a little mini whiteboard, Say you use a math problem, you give all your kids, all 10 of them, a mini dry erase board, and they write their answer on it and they flip it over, and you're like, yes, no, let's work on it again, whatever. That's a form of instructional technology. Or it could be something as much as online courses or online websites, kind of like Kahoot that I just had y'all play the game on. Instructional technology prepares students for a future where technology is king. Teachers need to be aware of new technology and how to present it to their students. Guys, we are in the 21st century. Technology is everywhere. Like I said, kids are born with phones in their hands. Technology is ever changing, okay? We need to stay on the forefront of it to be able to teach our students about it, okay? And it prepares them for even more technology in their future when they graduate. Okay, there are 3 main areas of instructional technology. It increases collaborative learning, online learning, and real-time feedback. Real-time feedback for me, you'll see later on, you get to tell me how I did in my presentation. And by that, I get to know immediately instead of going through 25 different pieces of paper to see what you thought I did good or bad on. Okay. And also, less than 42% of daily learning going on in the classroom is not technology based, which means 58% is tech based. As you can see, the majority we're going for is tech based. So most teachers are using instructional technology in the classroom. So what is this instructional technology teachers are using? Okay, because this is for everyone. This is not just kids with disabilities. I said earlier, mini dry erase boards. Use those. They're fun. Okay, let kids interact. Sometimes they don't need all the newfangled technology. They want something simple that they can interact and they know how to use. They know how to use a dry erase marker. Let it be fun and use those. But you can do interactive whiteboards, okay? That could be a smart board. It could be a smart table. It could be a Promethean board. There's so many different brands of interactive whiteboards, but remember, they're instructional technology when the kids use them, when they're interactive, okay? It's not just me pulling up a video and presenting it to you, or pulling up my PowerPoint that I made and presenting it to you. It needs to be interactive for the kids. Laptops and computers. If you have a laptop for every kid in your classroom, count yourself lucky, okay? Use those. Let your kids use them. They're awesome. Digital cameras and scanners. We use those in our daily lives. Maybe your yearbook team at school uses them all around the school. And kids get to use and feel more comfortable with things other than just a quick cell phone picture, right? iPad, iPhone, or hey, if you use a different kind of phone or a different kind of device, that's great too. Screencasting like I'm doing right now. Teaching kids that, hey, they can talk and have a presentation pre-prepared that they've already worked on. Cloud applications, that's like your iPhone, your iCloud. Putting it up there in the cloud so it's not taking up room on your phone, okay? Teach those type things. But cloud also could be for different things, networks on your computer. Zoom and video applications. Like I said, during COVID, everybody knew about Zoom. Everybody knew about Google Classroom, right? Use those. Even today, I'm using them in my master's program, okay? It makes life so much easier. And finally, of course, all the software online websites for education, Kahoot, Quizlet, Jamboard, Google Apps, Flipgrid, Seesaw, Khan Academy, even QR codes you can scan, right? And it brings you to a website to do whatever. Use those. I use Jamboard with my kids on a daily basis. We do our morning meeting off of a Jamboard. It lets them interact and they love it. Last but not least, let's do a roundup. Okay, assistive technology. Used to access, remember that word, access curriculum and perform at the same level as non-disabled peers. Doing non-disabled tasks, working at that level that they can do. IT, used to engage and create a deeper understanding of education in a variety of digital and interactive ways. Both of those should be used in the classroom to help students' growth in a variety of situations. Okay, now I need